This is going to be quite the shock to many people.
I am retiring from the WNBA. I never thought that I would play this long.
Wow, okay,
Never
tell me
thought
more.
that I would be the type of player that I would play this long.
You are averaging 17 points, 9 rebounds, shooting almost 53% from the field. You are playing at
Ogwumike into the lane, got it to go.
an elite level. You could easily continue dominating in this league. So what is telling you that is done with the WNBA? Okay. You're like, whoa, it is a little.
No, but I'm glad you clarified. What's your percentage? And I was like, 98. And they're like, what?
Whoa, it's high.
It's high. I think we're never really satisfied, with how we exist in this world as women, as Black women, as women in sport. I would be lying if I didn't say that I felt like them kind of like, putting their hand on my shoulder.
Yeah.
A little bit like, you've done well.
Ogwumike is good!
The burden that was the heaviest was having to fight for people who would probably not fight for you.
Can I selfishly ask if you would ever consider being commissioner? I'm Taylor Rooks, and I'm here with the one, the only, champion WNBPA President, former league MVP. You already know who it is, the one, the only Nneka Ogwumike. I am so happy to be here with you, Queen.
Thank you, Taylor.
It is such a pleasure to be sitting here with you in all of your glory. I am so honored to be doing this interview with you, but I'm also happy to be sitting with our friend here.
I always love seeing our friend.
I'm sure you do. What comes to mind when you look at this trophy?
Honestly, really my teammates, thinking about the teammates that I've played with and the journey of it all. I always like to tell anybody who has the chance to experience something like this that once you get to the top, you kind of just take a view of the expanse and the journey that it takes to get to the summit. And so a lot of memories come flushing back, yeah.
And it's really special to be sitting here talking about this because this was 2016.
It was.
10 years ago.
Crazy.
When you won a championship.
Yeah.
You were MVP. Huge year for you. And, I didn't anticipate diving into this early, but I have to say, every single time that I hear you talk about your accomplishments or something that you have done, you always talk about others, which I think is incredibly admirable. And I'm just curious when you think of these accomplishments and you think about yourself.
I do.
Yeah.
I have to get used to, how it is. Like, I think we're never really satisfied, with how we exist in this world as women, as Black women, as women in sport. And then, what we do is competitive by nature, and so I can't help but talk about the community that it takes to get to those things. But I do think once you're in something for a while, you kind of look back and you're like, okay, you know what? I did that. Did that. I can eat that a little bit, but I still don't think that I ever feel as though I'm a master at something. I think that the beauty about life and the beauty about all of our endeavors is that no matter how good you get, there's still something to learn from it, and that's kind of always the perspective that I have.
Yeah. I heard you tell Lisa Leslie once that one thing about you is you consider yourself to constantly be a student. How do you think that has fueled the greatness that we have seen throughout your entire career?
Maintaining a perspective of curiosity is something that can always, teach you how to adapt. It can teach you how to reflect. It can reteach you lessons. It can allow you to circle back and learn from other people as well. And being a student, I think, is a way to just continue to hone in on who you are, who you're becoming, who you want to be. And, in sports, every game isn't the same. And as long as you're playing, you're going to be learning on the fly. And you have to, I think that it's important to chase getting better, and to also chase being great, but then being around others who also make you feel great as well. And there's ways that it can be discovered. There's ways that it can be revealed. And I think staying inspired in that way is important, not just for athletes, but I think especially, I love talking about advocating for Black women and the diaspora especially. I think it's intrinsic to our existence, but when we're able to step into that superpower, that curiosity creates sustainable success in ways that maybe we can't even imagine.
Yeah. Something that is so striking to me about you, seeing you right now, every interview I've heard, is you just have such a strong sense of self, and you have an awareness, and I think just a really innate ability to take in life and what is around you, which I think is very hard for people to be present. But in many ways, that seems to be your superpower, one of the things that makes you a great leader, a great basketball player. Have you always had that, or is that something that you honed?
Definitely haven't always had it. I would even say from day to day, there's times when, you kind of relapse a little bit. I think that giving ourselves grace along this journey that is life, that is being a professional woman, you can't always expect to be perfect. And understanding that every day is not going to be perfect, it makes the imperfection something to kind of look forward to. It provides challenges. It allows you to know yourself a little bit more. I come from a family that is very devoted to culture, that is devoted to connectivity. And I think that might be a foundation from which I do try to be present.
Well, we're being present, but let's talk about the past for a second. 2016, when you won this trophy, when you think of 2016 you.
Yes.
Where have you changed? Where have you stayed the same?
I'll tell you where I've stayed the same.
Okay. Probably a little easier. Yeah, you're like, the changing is a long list.
Yes. I'm very disciplined. I am a creature of habit. And one thing I know is that when I have a routine, when I treat my specialty with reverence, that I've seen that it yields the best results for me. And while understanding, though, that routine can change, but still staying reverent to the process is something that has not, and I don't think will ever change for me. How I prepared for the games 10 years ago is obviously very different now, but I don't take for granted that preparation.
Yeah.
And one thing that I've learned that has changed is that discipline is most important during stagnancy or plateaus. A lot of times we talk about in life, you're either entering a storm, in a storm, or, you're departing a storm. I always like to see life as, almost like a graph. You're going up gradually. Sometimes it's a quick incline. Sometimes you descend quicker than you want to. But the moments where I used to get a lot of anxiety are the plateaus, because you're working and nothing really seems to be changing.
Yeah.
But the second that you experience that jump, you understand why the discipline was so important. And so what's changed for me is perhaps letting go of the expectations of the discipline and the reverence of that work, and understanding that opportunity is going to find your discipline for you to be able to succeed. And so I know that's kind of like one thing, but it's a huge through line. Yeah, it's a huge through line for me.
Yes. So when you think about 10 years, the fact that it has been 10 years, what perspective does that give you on time?
Honestly, I never thought that I would play this long.
Wow, okay.
Never
Tell me
thought
more.
that I would be the type of player that I would play this long. When I was at Stanford, I very much knew, okay, I'm playing basketball. At the time when you're entering college, 4 years seems like a very long time.
Yeah.
Then when I became a senior, it was Chene that was like, do you know? Chene was early in her journalist stage. Do you know you get projected to be number one?
Yeah, they say, are you going first? Yeah.
I'm like, okay, but I'm looking to be a doctor. Let me go and enter a post-baccalaureate program. And she was telling me, the school's always going to be there. Just dive into this. And I was like, okay, cool, fine. To be honest, I didn't have any representation of anyone who had successfully done that. Obviously, the WNBA existed, but around that time, we didn't know that you could go overseas and make money. And so I dove into that and I was like, okay, cool. And as I was playing, because the transition was so seamless, it's very similar. You're still going to practice. Now you're not going to school, but now you're creating a new routine where you're filling your time with other things. And that became, wash, rinse, and repeat. And after the years would go by, I would just be like, okay, I play basketball.
Yeah.
And now looking back and seeing, even 10 years from this and 15 years from starting, I'm like, oh, wow, I am that player that I never thought that I would be, but I was laying the foundation to become. Mm-hmm. And I'm very grateful for that. But I think because I've had this level of adaptability and curiosity, I wasn't so rigid on how it would happen for me or what would happen for me. I just knew that while I was in it, I wanted to make sure that I was ready.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you say that you didn't anticipate playing this long, that you didn't know the kind of player you were going to be. I would think you feel as though you exceeded your expectations.
I think so.
Yeah. I would say so.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm never satisfied, but I'm proud of what I've done. Okay. I will say that. I'm proud of what I've done.
With all the things you've done, which I will get to your accolades shortly, I'm curious what would make you feel as though you're not satisfied.
I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm not satisfied with my career, but I think that I don't want to treat any transition or any change like the end. I think that I think we're all multifaceted. I think that there's a lot of intersectionality that I've discovered about myself in the process. I mean, when I started playing, I played basketball. And then eventually I was a member of our executive committee. And then I started getting interested in representing the players and understanding the business of basketball from a different lens. And that became a whole nother thing. And being able to evolve in that way has allowed me to understand that there are so many doors and opportunities that are available that can allow me to discover myself, but then also to transition on my own terms. Mm-hmm. And that's what I mean when I say that I'm not satisfied, because I think that there's still so much more for me to do. Mm-hmm. But I am very proud and fulfilled in what I've been able to do on the court.
So with that being said, where do you stand on the future of your WNBA career?
So where I stand now is I feel very fulfilled with the 15 years that I've been able to play and compete at such a high level. And I am proud to say that I am retiring from the WNBA.
What is it like to say it out loud?
It feels good. It feels good because I'm doing it on my terms. I'm doing it in a way that I've always kind of envisioned, even though I didn't know what kind of player I didn't know what kind of player I could be in this league. Even season to season, I didn't know what kind of player I would be, next year, this year, that year. But I do know how I want to leave the game. I do know how I want to leave my career. I do know how good I feel about what this game has poured into me and also what I've poured into this league.
I mean, to hear that you are retiring, when right now you are averaging 17 points, 9 rebounds, shooting almost 53% from the field, you are playing at an elite level. This is going to be quite the shock to many people. I mean, you could easily continue dominating in this league. So if it is in your body that is telling you that it's done with the WNBA, what is telling you?
It's a little bit my body.
Okay. You're like, whoa, it is a little.
No, but I'm glad you clarified. It is a little bit my body.
Okay.
I still feel very good.
Yeah, and you look very good.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I still feel very good, but I also feel the comfort of slowing down a little bit, I also feel mentally that I just feel content. I feel very content with where I've left my career with 15 years under my belt. I feel very content about what we were able to achieve coming into this season, where we see the league today. Even when I think about the types of players I've been able to play with, I can say that I've played against Tina Thompson, also against Angel Reese.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I was in the league during the Maya Moore era. I'm in the league during the Asia Wilson era. You know, it is quite amazing for me to say that I've lived these many lives and many generations across my time in the W.
Yeah. Honestly, when you say that, it's interesting that talking to you, you can really hear just the story of the WNBA. Like you said, you've played with the past legends, you're playing with the present stars, but then you also created what this league is going to look like for the future stars that are not even in it. How do you take in the fact that in so many ways, the history is in you, but it has also been caused by you?
I think maybe it'll settle in a little bit later for the caused by me portion. I will speak though to the CBA negotiations. I do very much feel a part of that after what we went through as an EC and our union, and getting the feedback from players, both past and present, in real time about what we were able to achieve as a group. That definitely is something that is very visceral right now. And as I am still playing, of course, seeing the legends come back and be seamlessly like integrated into the life that is women's basketball today, I certainly am like, wow. You know, these are the ones that I was growing up watching. These are the ones that I grew up playing with. And, you know, I'm still here.
Yeah.
Standing strong like how they've taught me. But, you know, I would be lying if I didn't say that I felt like them kind of like, you know, putting their hand on my shoulder. Yeah. like you've done well. You know,
no, absolutely.
You know, I kind of feel good about being closer to, you know, following their transitions out of the game and into this world.
I had a college professor once who told me that in life it is always important to be driven by the pull and not the push.
Yeah.
And I feel like for you, this decision feels like it is rooted in being pulled towards something, even if that something is who you want to be next or what is next for you.
Yeah.
So I know that when you made this decision, obviously it is because you feel as though you are content, that you are feeling somewhat satisfied, that you know you have accomplished all of this. But can you walk me through the process of coming to the decision, like on a practical level, outside of what you felt? How did you say, this is what it looks like and this is what I'm going to do?
Absolutely. So, you know, we had 18 long months of negotiating the CBA. And during that time, you know, there was a lot going on while still trying to train at the high level to be ready, because we were never in a position where we felt that we didn't want a season or there wouldn't be one. We just knew what we wanted to stand on. And achieving that in the 11th hour, it was a lot. It was a lot. I would not be lying to you if I said that it was a lot. And having a micro free agency in that time, I genuinely was trying to figure out, okay, where do I want to go? You know, I don't think that I had actually opened my mind up to that because we were so driven to get this deal done. And once I was able to do that, I at first was like, okay, I'm going to take all of my free agency calls from home.
Yeah.
And that was not exciting to hear from those who were pursuing me. So I was like, okay, let me just lean into this.
Yeah.
And going into free agency, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna sign like a minimum 2, max 3, and this is absolutely gonna be my last contract. And going in, we had Balloon Gate, which was a whole nother situation, which I actually thought was so amazing for the game because people were thirsting for W news.
I also love like your very last tweet is like this, like the Balloon Gate, and it's like the gift. Go ahead.
Yes, which I loved. I loved and had great visits. And, you know, at the very end, I was like, you know what? Okay, if I'm saying this is going to be the last few years that I'll be playing, let me be at home. Let me bet on being at home and, you know, go where it all started. It was a very tough decision. But that's kind of where I landed. And then before signing the contract, there were a lot of things that kind of happened, and I ended up only signing a 1 year. And I was like, okay, you know what? It's fine. You know, I made my decision. Let's just rock with it. And then in training camp, I was just like, I'm good for this year, but I actually think I'm okay.
But
Not doing this again.
When did you know? Do you know the moment?
Yes.
Okay.
So we had training camp in San Diego this year, and it was already kind of a whirlwind getting there. Granted, I was very grateful because I already had my place here, so there wasn't too much that I had to do to move and get settled. But that week was very hectic because I like to kind of assume responsibility of attending the draft, welcoming in the new union members and also the new players to the league.
Being a good press.
Just trying to do my best. And so it was CBA, it was free agency, it was Final Four, then it was a draft, and then it was training camp immediately. And training camp, usually you use the time to catch your bearings, but we were in San Diego. So when we were in San Diego, I was just like, okay, I'm just trying to catch my breath a little bit. We're practicing, vibes are good. I'm seeing all my new teammates, even players that I've played with before. And I'm just walking along the beach in San Diego, and I'm just like, man, I feel like so much has happened. I feel really good about where we're at in this league. I also feel good about being able to play in what would be now my third CBA.
Yeah.
And I just felt like, you know what? I feel like I've done it.
Yeah, you're like, check.
I feel like I've done it, and we have these new wave of players coming in that are bringing in so much attention, and the game is evolving in so many different ways, and I just feel like I have poured as much as I could into this game, and the last bit is this year of playing. And at that point, I went back home and I went back to the hotel. And I called Shanae and I was like, this is it. I called Shanae, I called Tracy, and Shanae was excited. She was like, oh, let's plan. Let's plan this transition.
Where are we
going? But of course, my tribe wanted to make sure that I was very sure about it. And I think that they were a little stunned because every time they asked, like, okay, what's your percentage? And I was like, 98. And they're like, what?
Whoa, it's high.
It's high. And over the last few days of training camp, they kept asking me, are you sure? Are you sure? And I was like, I feel good about this.
I have to tell you, though, all of this is so empowering to me, because I think one of the reasons it's shocking for people to hear about a retirement is because we are so used to retiring meaning it's not your choice.
Right.
That you have to retire.
Right.
But you are doing this because you feel like, to some degree, this mission that you had is complete. That you feel like you accomplished what you could accomplish. And that just is not what comes to people's mind when it comes to stopping something. And a large part of that is because identity is very wrapped in what we do.
Yes.
But it feels like at some point you were able to relinquish or on some level separate Nneka the basketball player from Nneka the person, and understanding that there would be more than just being in the WNBA.
Yes.
Is that accurate to say?
Yes. I mean, I think you really depicted that perfectly. This is something that I've always thought about myself, is that I don't want to feel like I'm being pushed out the door. And I do feel like in my time in the league and seeing that happen to players, and players not being able to receive their flowers in an honorable way, I wouldn't say that it was something that I was trying to avoid, but I was learning from that experience.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to ensure that while I was still able to, utilize my privilege and my platform, that I could help perhaps alleviate that transition that people didn't rightfully get.
Totally.
And I love how you put that, because we shouldn't see it as, they say athletes die twice, which is, okay, yeah, sure, we do. But we should not see it as an end to something. And I think that my journey through these 15 years has allowed me to understand that I am more than my stats, and still also holding on to the fact that what I was able to accomplish on the court opened the multiple identities that I do occupy for me to be able to make this decision with a full heart.
Yeah. And to your point, it's like leaving as a whole person,
Yes.
because I have seen, I know you have seen people leave in kind of pieces.
Yeah.
And it is unfair and sad sometimes to see people more so leave in these pieces.
Yeah.
I do have to ask, though, because as we've talked about this retirement, the CBA has come up a few times. You said, of course, that it still feels visceral. You said that the CBA was just a lot.
Yeah.
I'm curious what role, if any,
Yeah.
this played in the weight of who you had to be.
Yeah.
And if it made that weight a little heavy.
Yeah, it did. It did. I think what I'm most grateful for is the timing of it all. I think that the timing of negotiating this recently transformational CBA.
Heavy on transformational.
Yes. I think that the timing was actually perfect.
Okay.
I have reflected on this, and I wouldn't want to know how this would have affected me if I was like 8 years in, because of how heavy it was. Totally worth it. I will never take away my experience in that. I learned a lot. I was challenged a lot. I had to step outside of who I naturally am at times to ensure that the goal was the goal for the group. But I think that the hardest part about that whole process, the burden that was the heaviest was having to fight for people who would probably not fight for you at times. But that was certainly overshadowed by the depth of support and also leadership from others that you wouldn't normally see publicly or in other situations. So it really shed light on how we all have our individual leadership aspects that can allow the needs of the majority, like I always love to say, overshadow the noise of the minority. And I think that it was an incredible demonstration, both internally and externally for women, for those in sports, and also really for society as a whole to witness.
Yeah, I mean, what you did was historic. It is something that every single league should look at to understand what leadership is, what negotiation is, what business is, which standing on something is, fighting for something is. Can you describe what that experience, though, felt like of having to fight for people that you are unsure if they would fight for you?
I'm someone who likes to believe that I'm instinctual, you know, and I'm okay listening to my intuition, but I can be very pragmatic as well. And I didn't like at moments where I was second guessing myself because perhaps things weren't as clear as they appeared when we had and continued to constantly establish like what our goals were as a group. But I had moments that were difficult to not succumb to, perhaps, you know, the negativity that I was hearing, falsified information, you know, others trying to influence my opinion or influence my perspective for an individual goal. But I accepted that, you know, I accepted that type of challenge because I was better for it. But I wouldn't say that it hardened me. I didn't want anything to harden me, but it did allow me to see things a little bit differently, to know who to lean into, to also understand when to listen instead to speak, and to just know myself a little bit more, you know, and to understand exactly what it is that I guess my back can get pushed up against the wall, and I'm confident that I won't crumble. Yeah.
I read you once say when you were talking about these negotiations, do I want to keep doing this? That there were moments where you said, do I want to keep doing this?
Yeah.
Can you tell me what one of those moments was?
I think it was a kind of a repetitive moment where I have to be tapped in, as president, you have to be tapped in with the staff and with your EC on a daily. And, there would be information calls, emergency phone calls, accessibility that would erode the boundaries that I would put on myself to even just train. and so there would be a phone call based off of, X, Y, or Z that I would have to be on that would run, into in my time zone, it was, up until like 11, midnight, knowing that I still had to wake up at 4 a.m. to train because that was the only window that I had. Those were the days where I was like, oh my gosh, like,
yeah, can I keep doing it?
Can I keep doing this? And it was either like, can I keep training? Can I keep, trying my best to, represent the greater interests of the group? But I'm not someone who likes to think about quitting. I don't want to believe that I will ever walk away from something just because it's difficult.
Yeah.
And those are the times when I allowed myself, which I learned from when we had negotiated the last CBA in the bubble season. I did not establish boundaries. I did not lean on my people, and so I was depleted. And ultimately, this time around, I was like, okay, when I feel like I'm overwhelmed, I'm going to talk to Chene. I'm going to talk to Tracy.
I'm gonna my phone and call the people that I know I can.
Yeah, and that really helped me get out of those times where I was like, I just wanted to throw my hands up.
Yeah. I'm so interested in just like who you are as a person because it does stay the same in these places, which is admirable. I think it is hard for people to maintain consistency of self. And I told you, I love that you have recently been posting about how you are an introvert.
Yeah.
And I think that somebody might hear the word introvert and wonder, well, how can you be an introvert but also be so demanding and a leader and have this, kind of command over rooms, over a league and all these things. And, you've spent all this time being the public voice for an entire league. Is it that you kind of became somebody else to do that job, or did doing the job reveal that you are this person?
Oh, this is a great question. I don't like to believe that I'm like a different person. I am myself and I am whole, but I do think that there are expressions of me that come out in different ways depending on what it is that I have to do.
Yeah.
But I like to believe that, my introversion comes from internal validation. I don't garner energy from external variables. And so I find it in myself to motivate myself, to inspire myself, to be creative, to express myself. And in order to do that, I really love solitude.
Yeah.
I really love solitude.
It's the refueling.
It is the refueling, exactly. And so, it allows me to come out and, speak as president. It allows me to come out and hoop on the court, and I can come and be engaged and present in a way if I'm afforded the protection and the environment and the space to pour back into myself through my introversion. And that allows my full expressions, all my different forms of expressions to feel authentic and true to who I am.
Yeah. So 11-time All-Star, 8-time All-WNBA, 7-time All-Defense, Rookie of the Year, MVP, champion. The resume is just completely unmatched. But I feel like because you have done so much as a leader and so much as the president, and because you have been so great for so long, it's almost like the dominance becomes the second thing that people talk about, even though it is so great. Does it ever feel that way to you?
I think there are times. There are times when, you keep doing what you do, and you're consistent, but you're like, okay, is it enough? Is it enough? But I don't get too wrapped up in that, because then I start identifying with only that type of production. It's actually so interesting that you say this, because at All-Star this year, I saw Asia and I was like, hey, I just want to let you know that don't let anyone think or tell you that what you're doing is ordinary just because you're consistently extraordinary. Like, you cannot let that happen. And sometimes people feel like it's boring when someone is great all the time. And I was speaking to her about that and allowing her to understand, like, do things on your own terms. Keep dominating, keep doing your thing. And we have so many different amazing women in this league who are so consistent. But because we are who we are, you know, what else can she do?
Yeah.
You know, can she jump or flip or do something else? And I don't succumb. I don't subscribe to that. That's not how our parents raised us to believe that, you know, we should, one, be satisfied, but also we should overlook our accomplishments. You know, I think that we have to, in order for us to sustain that level, we have to take it in. Yeah. And I do take it in. I think especially now, I am definitely taking it in.
What would you say to the game of basketball?
Of course, thank you. Certainly thank you. But I would say that I'm not a woman who likes surprises. But this one was a pleasant one. This one was a pleasant surprise. I did not expect this at all.
Yeah, this one was meant to be.
This was meant to be, yes.
What do you think the game of basketball would say to you?
Ooh. Keep playing.
Yeah,
I get that a lot. I do get that a lot. I do. You know, you get the question of like, when are you retiring? You keep going. You got at least 3 to 5. You know, I mean, aside from that, I would hope that the game of basketball would say, good job, you know, good job. And we're going to keep keeping it on.
Yeah.
Because that's what we all do it for. Mm-hmm.
When Tamika Catchings first said that you should run for president, you said no. You
Several
said absolutely
times.
not. What would you tell 2016 you about why you have to do the job?
Ooh. I would tell myself 10 years ago that this job is meant for you to discover more about yourself. It's meant for you to discover more about these amazing women. And it's meant for you to be a part of the right side of history, most certainly, and to continue to pass the torch. Without someone like Catch, who had poured so much into the game and, you know, passed the baton to me, knowing that there was something that I could also contribute, I wouldn't know how to also pass that along, and at least not in the way that I understand it today. And I'm so, so grateful to have the opportunity to walk through a door that I can also leave open.
What do you think she saw in you?
I really don't know. because I was not engaging. I was on every call, I was in the chat, but I was not engaging. I was reading everything.
Yeah.
And one time she was like, so you're on these calls? And I'm like, yes. She's like, well, you need to say something. And I'm like, what am I going to say? Like, it's Tanisha Wright, it's Swin Cash. I'm like, you guys are grown. I don't know what I'm doing. But, you know, over the time, I learned just by their example. But then I also learned, too, that if you don't speak up, no one will ever know. You know, no one will ever know. And ultimately that evolved into, once everyone's speaking up, we're all kind of saying the same thing. Mm-hmm. We just have different experiences. Or someone is speaking to something that you had no idea about.
Yeah.
So that allowed me to understand a little bit more about the role.
I think it's beautiful that any time a player is talking about you, it's just so glowing. The respect that you have around this league is paramount. So many people publicly say, like, there is a reason that you are the most respected player in this league. What is respect to you?
For me, I've always believed that respect is lost. You know, I don't believe that you step into a room and anybody has to earn your respect. They can gain more respect from you. Mm-hmm. You can gain more respect from them. But I don't ever want to feel as though I am above anyone. And I think that that's kind of what respect is understanding that we all start at the same level. And different things can happen to where perhaps it is lost. It can be repaired. But most certainly, it can be earned. But no one starts from ground zero for me. And I've always wanted to be the type of player, president, and person that is approachable and accessible in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also think, too, one of the things that is just like so striking to me about you, I know I have said that it's that you know who you are, you can make your own decisions, and you have just like a confidence, but you also are just sure. Like there is nothing about this moment that feels shakeable to you. You know that it's right. And I'm just curious, when we talk about competitors, competitors are always hungry, they're always hungry, they're always hungry. You feel completely full.
I'm just hungry for something else. Yeah.
And what do you think that something else is?
I couldn't tell you today. I couldn't tell you today, but I do know that, feeling satisfied and fulfilled and full from what I've so wonderfully been blessed with in this league is a reason why I know that there's an appetite for something else. We can start with, international ball again and see kind of where that takes me. But I am forever and will always be connected and contributing to this league. That's just something that I know very much of. It just might be a little different now.
Can I selfishly ask if you would ever consider being commissioner? Is that something that
This is
you
the
would
question.
be? How are we feeling about that?
I don't close doors.
Okay.
I don't close doors. But I do appreciate a vacation. I know you can speak to that.
Yes, I love vacation. I hope I still got my vacation chair right now. But to this point, though, I do want to kind of go down this commissioner hallway just a little bit. You have obviously been an elite player in this league. You have been in the WNBPA exec committee. You've been president. You have seen all facets of this. You have learned about good leadership. You have learned about bad leadership. What is the difference between the two, and how do you see it sometimes manifest itself in this league?
I think relationship is really the difference maker when it comes to leadership. I've learned this in my time being on the executive committee and as president. It's difficult to know what to do when you don't know what people want you to do, or you don't know people's lived experiences. You don't have that rapport with individuals. And that's something that I've communicated to presidents, to commissioners in the W. It's my style. It's not everyone else's style. But that's how I lead as a person. And that's definitely something that is going to show up in how I lead with whatever role or responsibility that is. But I will say, too, that, different roles and responsibilities, we're speaking about commissioner. I know that's not an easy job. That's not an easy job. And the relationships span not just from partnerships and, the board of governors, but the players. I think, without the players, we don't have a league. Mm-hmm. The players are very important in that. And I think any commissioner that has a strong relationship with the players, it's going to be difficult for them to fail. But I also understand, too, when people speak about, the commissioner role, there is so much that I don't know about. And there is so much that I would have to learn before even, if an opportunity like that were to come, for me to be ready for that. Mm-hmm. And I think lastly, one of the biggest characteristics of a great leader is that humility, to understand when you don't know something, so that you can understand how you can lean on those who make up your community, who make up your support system, for you to be able to succeed as the figurehead of whatever group you're leading.
Well, everything you're saying I agree with, and I think that it is kind of impossible to understate that with where the W is right now, the leadership is paramount. Yeah. It is the most important thing, that whoever is at the top has to be guiding this league in the right direction. Yeah. And aside from whoever is in that role, I just think that when people see you and think about you, they understand that you have a complete understanding of what the players need, what the players want, but also just ultimately what this league can be, because you have seen it so much and you have led it in so many different ways. And so I feel like that is, the fact that your name is always the thing that comes up is one of the highest compliments I'm sure a person could get.
Yeah, I think it's flattering. It's also daunting.
Yeah.
It's also
You're
daunting.
like, I'm doing this because I need a minute. I need a minute. What does rest look like for you?
Ooh. In season, it's certainly being in my house,
Okay.
being where I live, being in my safe space, being able to refuel and recharge. I am not very good at sitting still, but if I have ways to expend that energy, I do think that rest can also be a bit of a flow state, you know, if I'm not necessarily playing, but maybe I'm cooking, you know, maybe I'm indulging in one of my favorite spots, maybe I'm walking outside, you know, maybe I'm leaning into my community. I think whatever fills here is what rest is, but if we're speaking about, you know, actually recharging, I love being in elements that make me feel like I'm recharging. So, you know, water is very huge for me.
Get on that boat.
You know what I'm saying? You know, it's very huge for me, even if I'm recovering, like going in the pool or something like this. But rest is like not setting my alarm. You know, I think something as simple as that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to feel commercialized. It doesn't have to feel contrived. It's whatever really makes you feel like you're in flow and your heart is full.
Yeah, and it's being still.
Yeah.
In this WNBA retirement, what do you want everyone to learn about Nneka? But also, what do you want to learn about Nneka?
If people don't know, I would hope that they learn that I really do love connection and I love relationship. And I think that that's the one thing that I'll probably miss the most is being able to interact with fans, teammates, you know, coaches, staff, you know, in a different way, of course. But I really do love learning from others and meeting the so many different people that I've been able to have the privilege to do just because I play basketball. And I would love to learn about myself, you know, how I transition that aspect of human connection off the court, you know, in different ways. I'm going to have to step outside of my comfort zone in ways that are a little bit different. But I think I'm going to have to learn how to receive flowers. It's not very easy.
Yeah.
Today was a good test because you gave me a beautiful bouquet. Today was a very good test. I did not expect that, but I'm very grateful to be surrounded by people like you who recognize those types of things. And I'm hoping that we develop community amongst ourselves to continue to just let each other shine, you know, in that way.
I mean, you are somebody that I deeply, deeply admire. I think that you are full of so many multitudes. And to your point, when we are really great at something, it can truly become normalized. But I hope that at some point today, this summer, whatever the case may be, you look in the mirror and you tell yourself the exact same thing that you told Asia, because it's true. And your greatness has touched all the light across this league, all the light across sports. And when I think about like you retiring, I think it is just so beautiful that you are leaving this league in such a better place. And I know that you don't feel as completely comfortable being like, well, I did this thing, but you did. And I think that everybody knows that. And I just wish the absolute best for you. And it was an honor that I got to have this last conversation with you before you retire from the WNBA. So thank you so much for doing this with me, doing this with Boardroom, and also thank you for what you have done for this sport that we love so much.
Thank you so much. You know, I move with intention, so this is not an accident. So I'm very grateful to be here with you and Boardroom to be able to share this big news. Yeah, let's rest.
Yes, and then what I love the most too is like this is a happy occasion.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I think sometimes we think about retirement and it feels sad, or it feels like deep in a way that doesn't always make a person feel good, but in so many ways, you're really reclaiming what it means to retire. That it's not necessarily leaving as much as it is moving on.
Yeah.
And I hope that's what people take away from your story. Is that what you want them to take away?
I do hope so, and I think there was no better way to have this conversation than with someone like you who understands that and recognizes that. As you said, I'm being pulled towards more. Yeah.
Well, we are lucky to have had you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nneka.